lot of people were probably okay with a lot of this because they were getting forced labor out of it. But, and they probably didn't, some of them probably were okay with it just because they thought it was just that. And then when they started seeing people were getting murdered en masse, I mean, do you think some people got out when that started happening, or?
I think forced labor could be seen everywhere. Every city, in every small town, on every farm, everywhere, every construction, everywhere you saw forced labor, everywhere. And of course, German people profited of it.
Yeah. So.
And of course, some of them, of the Germans, thought that would be a good idea.
Yeah. Another Roman city wall. When the cathedral is that way, we just came from there. So we're going this way. Okay, well that's good. Now I can do it again.
Yeah, without me.
Yeah. So basically, this is a monument for all the soldiers, all the Nazi soldiers that resisted, or I mean, they were German soldiers, but they resisted the Nazis, and were a lot of them put to death for their crimes of deserting. Sorry, got a little out of focus there, but they deserted their posts, military, and they gave their own lives for doing justice. So yeah, they do deserve the respect for that. We're currently on the side door, so we're getting VIP treatment. Maybe. Okay, so this is the side door of this place, and this is the museum. What exactly is it called?
It's the documentation of the National Socialist area, the crimes of the National Socialist area here in Cologne.
Okay.
The police was here. This was the headquarters of the police at that time.
And these little things on the bottom here where people were, being tortured and imprisoned. Yeah. Okay, so you want to go through the introduction again? Sorry.
So Daniel is working in prevention and helping victims of anti-Semitic incidents, and this is a very important job here. It is necessary to do this.
Absolutely.
It's sure necessary. I see this every day. It's my second year of work now, and everyone can report anti-Semitic incidents in the city of Cologne to me. And there are obviously a lot of criminal anti-Semitic incidents, but there are also anti-Semitic incidents which don't constitute any crime. But it's important to report them and to make it visible for the majority of society, which isn't aware of the problem. So that's quite the main point of the report center, to publish things and talk about incidents that happened, so that German people know Jews and others, so they can understand how big the problem really is.
So it's not just on anti-Semitism, it's any discrimination at all, or is it?
No, here it's specifically
anti-Semitism,
and it's reasonable. It's better to do the things like for every kind of discrimination or other things, because there are some specifics you have to know about. So if you, for example, you have no idea of Jewish festivities, holidays and other things, it's difficult sometimes to understand if it's really an anti-Semitic motivation.
Right. Okay. And but the organization you work with is more all-encompassing, right?
Pardon, it's more
all-encompassing on different situations. It's not only anti-Semitism; it's just discrimination in general.
Yeah, it's just a society which is association which is working for German-Israeli friendship, for exchange, for getting to know each other, and of course this includes working against anti-Semitism, yes, it's a larger field, but we are not professionals. We are amateurs. We are just doing it because we are interested in it, and he's a professional and doing this as a job.
Yeah. So what kind of support do you give Like say if you hear about an incident, what generally happens?
It's quite different. It's very depending on the single case. Sometimes it's difficult to make something happen. Maybe someone got beat up because he wore a kippah or something like that, and so that's obviously a case where the police has to search the perpetrator. But there are a lot of things, a lot of incidents where sometimes it's needed to have like an official place, and this is like the representatives from the city. So I can write in the name of the city to institutions, to organizations, to tell them, look, what you put, maybe a piece of art or something like that. Look, this has some anti-Semitic elements. So that's quite important. Sometimes it's schools, when maybe a teacher or even the principal of the school doesn't want to see any anti-Semitic things. So yeah, it's just to help people whenever it's possible. Yeah, but it's obviously very difficult sometimes when it's in the internet, you know, on Telegram, on Facebook, on all these different spheres of the internet. But it's important to tell people about.
So are you like do you have to like check out certain things? Maybe somebody is being threatened over the internet versus you know, just things that are just somebody that gets beat up on the street. You know, there are people that get threatened on the internet as well. So so you do investigation on all those things and determine whether or not it's anti-Semitic or has some elements of it. So what generally happens once someone is found guilty of that?
Well, just the criminal part is obviously the part of the police and the other authorities. What I specifically need to do is obviously also the police trying to tell them that there are forms of anti-Semitic language which isn't always so simple to see, especially for police. So in Germany there are some laws. For example, you can't deny the Holocaust in Germany. It's a crime to deny that, and police know that obviously. But there are some other forms, so a lot of people who know the law, and so they just do a speech which is below the law. So, and it's important, just to have some official place that can tell this is anti-Semitic, even if it's not against the law. So that's
okay. All right. I appreciate your time. I don't want to keep you too long, but is there anything about the building in this area that I need to to understand a little bit more? Yeah,
obviously it's very specific. The place where we are right now, it's the former headquarters of the Gestapo, of the Nazi police. And so here we have, it's a very large building with 4 floors, and in the first floors you're going to see the exhibition of the history of National Socialism in Cologne, so it's a local history. But on the floors, on the top, on the 4th floor, you have organizations and people who are combating anti-Semitism now in here and today. So obviously it's anti-Semitism, and it's also a lot of racism, which is very well, you can find it everywhere.
Yeah,
in the city.
Unfortunately. So you were explaining to me earlier that a lot of these things, you know, like even the little prison, well, the prison underneath here, that people denied it, even though they could hear people screaming, being tortured, and things like that. So is there a lot of stuff that's underlying that people are denying today, still? That's
still a problem. So first you have to know that it was a very long journey for the German society to arrive to the point where we are now, or in the last 20 years. So the majority of the people, well, they obviously know that the Nazi regime was brutal and know about the Shoah, but we can see, especially in the last 10 years, and especially since the Corona pandemic, that there are a lot of people organizing now, also here in the city of Cologne, doing manifestations, demonstrations with explicit anti-Semitic codes and other things. So you have the, how do you say, you have like a lot of people here who are against the governmental measures against the Corona pandemic, and so they use the Shoah, they use the historical component to say it's the same thing as they did to the Jews.
I just want to say the Shoah is the Holocaust, so just for anybody that ends up seeing this somehow. I don't know if anybody will see this, but just for that understanding. So yeah, I mean that's. So do you think this is like actually like people trying to rebirth, like the Nazi party?
Sure. I don't know if people are trying, like some people are trying,
Yeah.
no doubt about that. But I think the majority of the people who are doing this analogies about National Socialism and today, well, they mean it like they want to criticize the government. But it doesn't matter what they mean.
Right.
The effect is that they are relativizing. I don't know what you say.
Rationalizing.
Yeah, they just don't.
Yeah.
And you have to see it from the perspective from people like who lived as Jews
Yeah.
and their descendants who see these kinds of manifestations. It's obviously very, very harmful for the German society as a whole, not only for descendants of people. And very important to know is also that this is, if you want to combat anti-Semitism as a whole thing, you just can't focus only on neo-Nazis or only on others. You have to see the whole spectrum of people who are contributing and yes, just like pulling these ideas everywhere in the society, and it's from the far right, it's from the far left, it's in the central of in the middle of society where you can find it, especially when it's Israel-related anti-Semitism.
Yeah. I mean, I think that a lot of people don't understand, like especially, and I mean, it's not just anti-Semitism. Anytime somebody wants to diminish the hardships of someone else that went through it, it's a lot of times you can't understand if it didn't happen to you. So a lot of people probably really don't understand and sympathize, especially in America now. They don't sympathize with Jews because they think that Jews are living like, super fat, rich lives, but they don't really understand what it took to get them to where they are. A lot of people lost their whole families in the Holocaust or the Shoah. So and I'm sure that probably happens here. They see somebody get success, and then if they look at their lives and they don't think their life is going so well, it must be because the other person that's having success.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's always the way it is. So if you are successful, it's because, and you are a non-Jew, it's because you made the right decisions. And if you're successful as a Jew, it's because you are a Jew. That's like the whole.
You didn't have to work for it. You didn't have to work for this job and what you do here, or go to school or learn anything.
Nothing of that, obviously. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your time. Okay. Okay, let me start this.
Cells.
So this is the former prison down here?
Yes, this is the prison of the National Socialist State Police, which were doing very, very bad things systematically to people because of their religion or political views. So this is one of the original prison cells. And if you go inside, you find them.
So this is
No, no,
the
no.
lights or no?
Yes, there are inscriptions in the walls done by prisoners. For example, ich sitze unschuldig. I'm an innocent inmate, for example. Written in Polish, written in Russian.
This is a very heavy place.
Yeah. Dear comrades, I was held here because I hate my friends. Don't know when they let me go again.
So that was from a non-Jew? Because he was hiding some people?
I don't know, it's written in Russian.
Wow. I figured they would have some lights in here.
Wait a minute, please. I just have to write something.
Absolutely terrible.
So usually people, of course, did not know when they would be released. There, of course, was no, I don't know what's like.
It's okay. It's hard to have any. It's hard to come up with any words for any of this, you know.
Yeah.
So these little flags or banners,
Yeah.
they donated? Or-
Yeah. For example, if you see this, die alte weiße Rose. I don't know exactly, but the Weiße Rose was a group of young students in Munich
Yeah.
who were resisting, and they wrote pamphlets, letters against the system, and they were arrested by police because somebody reported them, and then they were killed, of course. And their group, or they called themselves the Weiße Rose.
Oh.
Very young people, very honorable people.
So, I mean, I think sometimes the idea when you're learning stuff in America about the Holocaust, you know, you hear about a couple families here and there that like hit people, you know, or, you know, risk their own lives, but they didn't realize, I think they don't really teach us stuff like that. You know, there are people that had entire organizations that gave their lives to try to stop this, you know?
But most people here were not organized resistance.
Yeah.
Most people here were organized fans and supporters of the system.
Yeah.
Of course, there were some people who were resisting and working against it, but it was a very, very small minority.
Yeah. Well, apparently because most of them were killed, right?
Yes, of course,
Yeah.
many of them were killed and didn't survive, of course, yeah. More prison cells.
Yeah. I'm just gonna.
Look how small they are, and there were very many people incarcerated in very small cells.
I'm sure they didn't really have.
And many people were killed here.
There's a plexiglass thing here. I don't know
Yeah.
exactly what the reason for that one is.
Maybe there are some inscriptions which should be protected.
Protected,
Exactly.
Yeah. Either way you look at it, it's, I don't really have any words, you know?
Yes, it's difficult to find words for what happened here in the times.
Alright, okay. So this is... There's something in here? What
I
is
think you have to go there.
That's I'll follow you. I didn't know there was something even deeper down here.
Yeah.
What is this? Is this like, oh, this is just a regular slate, I guess.
Somebody from Cologne who was a member of a communist resistance group distributed flyers. Edelweiss-Piraten, Edelweiss-Pirates, that was another group. Many of them were hanged in another part of Cologne.
Well. He was in prison for a total of almost 1 year, although the distribution of flyers was never proven.
There was no necessity for proving anything. If Gestapo wanted to arrest you, they arrested you.
So they could have just made up whatever reason.
Whatever they wanted, yeah. They didn't have to have a reason.
Yeah.
It was a reason for them that somebody was Jewish.
Yeah.
That can never be a reason at all. This is moving. Wenn keiner an dich denkt, deine Mutter denkt an dich. Hans Weizheimer. If nobody thinks of you, your mother is thinking of you.
Oh. I'm sure my mom's thinking of me right now, actually. She's, yeah, I can usually feel it. You know. Okay. So you said, what does it say?
Yes, this is what the exhibition is about. About the building, how the National Socialists got to power, how they integrated everything in their terror system. Yes, the German Volksgemeinschaft. Hello, racial policy, injustice against Sinti and Roma, and of course the fate of Jewish people. Some people tried to resist the system, but it was not very many, but some did. The war, forced labor, of course, was a very important topic, and how it all ended. Oh yeah.
Alex told me that pretty much all the synagogues were burnt.
Yes, most of them on the 9th of November. There was a big organized action against all synagogues and Jewish people, and most synagogues were destroyed on the night of the 9th of November 1938. This is when the Shoah started, I think you can say so.
And everything that was happening in the basement of this building, people denied it was happening.
Yeah, many people died. The easiest way was to say I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
I didn't know, I never heard about it, I didn't know it. That's what most people said at that times and even at this times. Many grandchildren say the same.
Yeah. Okay, so I can't read most of this stuff, so I'm not, I'm just filming it, but I'm not If there's anything important you want to say, you can say it.
It's difficult for me in English to explain these things in English.
Okay. Well, we'll speak about it.
This is, for example, the town hall we saw
Yeah,
a few hours ago. And the fans of the system.
yeah. And it's like, how could nobody know? Because this is like right here. People are walking by this building all the
Yes.
time, and
Most
you can hear
things-
people screaming and
Most
being
things
tortured.
happen in pure
In daylight. Broad
daylight.
daylight.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, even, you know, all the squares that I see on the street with people's names.
Yeah.
I think that's very interesting that they're there, and also people, you know, act like they didn't know that these people were just taken from their homes and basically, you know, had their homes taken and just,
Many people knew it
Yeah.
because it was planned, and many people were interested in it because they said, okay, there's a flat to be free,
yeah,
might be our flat,
yeah,
and the furniture and something like that. So many people profited about it and had advantages of it.
and they're all over the city, by the way. I mean, I filmed a couple of them, but I mean, as many times as I could just sit there and stop and film or take pictures of each one, you know, it's just.
I didn't get that, sorry.
No, I was just saying, I mean, there's so many of them around the city.
Yeah.
It's like, I thought about like every time taking a picture or filming it, but I'm like, they're all over the place. It's like, this was just a common thing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
You know, I just didn't know if it was one here, you know, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of this footage I'm going to use, but I just figured I'd, you know. So these are all the Nazi leaders. I guess they put numbers to the faces, so they'll tell you exactly who they were.
I think Mr. Grohe was the boss of this area. Mr. Grohe, number 6.
Okay.
This book contains all Jewish victims of National Socialism just in Cologne. And if you see it, this book is this thick. It's like a phone book. And there are so many names. And it's just the victims in the city of Cologne.
That is.
Just one of the many cities. And it's thousands, and at all, it's 6 millions of them.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think there was probably more than 6 million. But, I mean, you know, there were a lot of people in Russia that you know.
I think they are within the number.
Yeah.
In total, of course, there were nearly 16 million victims of the war, the Shoah and Holocaust, all of this. And nearly half of them were from the end times Soviet Union, of course.
Right.
But it was about 6 million Jews who were killed by National Socialist ideology. And this is just the names of them who came from Cologne.
Wow. Okay. Maybe just repeat it. Because so.
This is for the remembrance of the 1,000 Roma and Sinti, how the gypsies are called officially, who were killed by the National Socialists here from Cologne.
Yeah. So, not just Jews.
Not just Jews, no. Even gypsies, homosexuals, and everybody who didn't fit in their idea of racial supremacy. Yeah.
Stuff that are famous.
Sometimes you met some second-grade famous people there.
Okay, so basically you're saying this place used to be a really good Italian restaurant that everybody used to come to and to be seen, to see and be seen.
Yes.
Very nice.